please don't take anything I say that I am bragging or that I know anything. I absolutely know nothing. Even the books that I have written, and there's one coming out, it will show you how little I and how little we all know about the subject of Bigfoot and Dogman. We're on a learning phase. I am 64 years old, and I am still a student. As of even recent, a 7-year-old child taught me something. So if I can learn from a 7-year-old child, I can learn from each and every person that is seated here today, because I'm simply a student. Please don't take it that I know, that I'm like the old cartoon we used to watch, that was the Bullwinkle and Rocky show, Mr. Know-It-All. That's not who that I am. But I will share you some things. One thing, what if I was to tell you that Bigfoot has been and will always be? They are not flesh and blood entirely. And if I get on to someone that's thinking that he said that they're not flesh and blood. Well, they can be flesh and blood, and they are certainly at times flesh and blood. There's so much more than that. What if I was to tell you on this peninsula that the Cherokee and Shawnee actually communicated with these creatures, and while there are good Bigfoot, there are also bad Bigfoot. We can speak about the sloping giants. We can speak about the shadow people. We can go back to the days of the oral history. And one thing I want to make certain, if you don't hear or learn anything from me at all, please understand the oral history of the Cherokee, Shawnee, First Nations people is not lore, L-O-R-E. It is their true oral history of what they have seen, what they've heard, what they've eaten, what they have killed, everything, every senses that they had, all the way back to the Adena Mound temple builders. And one thing I would share with you is this peninsula is absolutely, people will ask me, what's wrong with this peninsula? Why is there issues or evil or problems? Well, it goes back to these folks. This entire place is nothing but a graveyard. From one end of the peninsula to the other, it was highly prized by the Adena people, which is the mixture of Cherokee, Shawnee, Choctaw, and many others. This area, from one end to the other, is a graveyard. Virtually almost everywhere you can step, you're within a few feet of some poor soul that has stepped this way before us. Now, the Cherokee and Shawnee, let's go back to them first, and we speak of their oral history of seeing a 6 to 8 foot dogman style creature that walks and lurks on this land. Now, their history goes back further than us, and they speak of this beast that would rip the throats out. Now, we only have a couple children. Mike, they're used to it. Okay, Mike. They would rip the throats out and not even eat the people. They would rip the throats out of mules and horses and creatures, and sometimes never touch anything. They just killed for sport. And this was the oral history that we were taught. And I could go on for hours simply about the Cherokee and Shawnee, because they own this land. It was from all the way from the Muscle Shoals all the way up to the Ohio River. They prized this land as their home. This is where they eat, this is where they worship, and I can't emphasize just how important that is. We'll move from the Indian people to the white man. When the white man shows up, he kicks everyone out and he takes the land, and he steals it. This set off a war for 15 years with the war chief, Chief Dragon Canoe. It's very important that we remember this, because Chief Dragon Canoe had a Shawnee. Now, while he's Cherokee, he had a Shawnee medicine man. And I can go back and take you to the written journals of some of the people that came here on the Transylvania Fur and Land Company that wrote in their journals about a Shawnee medicine man that would rip the arms and legs and heads off of whites. We had a living witness to this. A woman and her child had hid over a cliff to get away from Chief Dragon Canoe and this Shawnee medicine man. Now, please keep in mind, I'm a huge fan of this guy. Even though he's out killing people, hey, he's defending his turf. This is his home before it was long before it was ours. But this Shawnee medicine man, the description is simple. The woman that lived through this, it took her over a year to gain her speech back after she was witness to this. And people wrote down she was a daughter of a ship's captain, and she escaped a great battle that had taken place at Miller's Creek, actually very close to my home on the other side of Robertson County, Tennessee. So this wolf man was described. Some people thought that he wore the skin of either wolves, coyotes, or some type of a skinned animal. Her description is, no, he was a wolf man. So we can go back, and we go back to the Indian messages of that we had some type of a wolf man that roamed these lands. I don't know what to believe, but I'm very open-minded. We'll go from Indian to the Transylvania Fur Company and Land Company, and let me tell you about a group of people that I do respect highly. And I don't know if I have any Mormons here, but I highly respect the Mormon religion. While I am a Christian and raised Catholic and Baptist, the Mormon religion has its attributes as well. We will talk about the Apostle Sir David Patton that came through this region in 1836, and he was a healer. And he would visit from home to home. And it's very important, I have Mike Smith back here, that right behind his home was Abraham Smoot, was a reverend, and Sir Patton would visit their home. And it's very important to realize who Abraham Smoot was, is that he was a very well thought of and high-ranking Mormon. There was Mormon people who lived on this peninsula and outside the peninsula. We've established Sir David Patton's trade route as he would go from home to home. Why is he important? Because 1836, he's riding a 16 to 18 hand tall mule. And as he's traveling through the area of Mike's home to Paris, Tennessee, he passes through this area of land between the lakes. He runs across what is defined as a over 8-foot giant, red hair, with hair hanging off of its body, and they communicate with each other. He asked of the giant, where do you live? And something along the lines of, I'm a sojourn soul that has been committed to walk the earth for eternity, and I am miserable. He goes back and he tells this story, and it's repeated even today. Mr. Patton had contact with either a Nephilim, a giant, sons of angel, whatever that you would like to speak of. We'll flash forward a few years, all of the reports that take place on the peninsula, and including what happened to me. I had an older man. Anybody in here a member of the Sons of the Confederacy or Revolutionary, Sons of Revolutionary? Oh man, I cannot be the only one. Over here, maybe, no? Okay, Sons of Revolutionary is very important. They were here first, and there was a lot of wars taking place. There was a lot of battles. Sons of Confederacy, I run across a gentleman that's in his late 80s, early 90s. He led me to 2 graves that are on this peninsula. The giants are over 9 feet long. The graves are almost 12 feet long, and where they've caved in, we have used underground, ground-penetrating radar. And this is nothing new. The entire state of Kentucky has got skeletons all over, buried, where between 9 and 13 feet in length. Who or what these giants are is up for debate. However, there were 2 giants buried here on this peninsula. This older gentleman from the Sons of Confederacy is a local historian, and he is absolutely one of the most intelligent historians I've ever met. Everything he has taught me, everything he has given to me, I have, in my eyes, verified. So, you know, you've got the shadow people, you've got giants, the sloping giants that roam this area, you have skeletons, and the Smithsonian Institute is full of these giant skeletons. You'll never see them because they've hid them, because it destroys parts of the Bible, it destroys parts of our history, and it goes to the very fabric and moral of our souls. Where the giants came from, who and what they are, and if you believe in the book of Enoch or parts of the Bible, you can go very simply as learning from the Bible. They were giants in those days, and even still. Flash forward a little bit more, and I'm trying to keep you right at 10 to 15 minutes because I know some of you are hungry, and you can tell by looking at me I like to eat as well. but in 1993, I was absolutely not a believer whatsoever. I thought that the only Sasquatch or Bigfoot was way out in California and probably had already outlived or either died or something. I didn't believe in Bigfoot, guys. Right here on this peninsula, I had contact with 2 Bigfoot and 4 to 5 creatures called werewolf or dogman. I'm changing from dogman now, guys. I'm leaning away from dogman and going with wolfman, werewolf. I don't know what roams this park, but I'll tell you this. For a creature to exist, therefore his language must exist. I have tape recordings of languages that I've heard. This will flip you out, but it's just the simple truth. You will find a man in the state of Ohio, and there's one in Texas that I've spoken to that I believe with all my heart communicate with Bigfoot. You're looking at one. I've been mind spoke so many times. They have a language, it is recorded, and there's at least 3 cryptolinguists that are working on an alphabet for Bigfoot. If a creature exists, therefore his language must exist. Identify the language, you have identified that we have a creature called Bigfoot that walks this earth. I met a doctor coming in, a professor this afternoon, and I'd love to hear his speech sometime and hear what he thinks about that. But guys, I do believe in Bigfoot. I do believe in the werewolf and dogman. Let me throw one more last thing in there. Anybody ever heard of the Beast of LBL? You will have Catholic records and these other records of other courts. Believe it or not, the Europeans have been writing down their history for a long time, much more so than we have ever had.
Out of France.
Out of France. So in the hills of France, the Beast of LBL killed as many, the Catholics say over 300. The court records identify over 400 to 500. What if I was to tell you that bloodline in 1775, a general left the area of Gévaudan, France, came here and helped America win the Revolutionary War. This general was so important that they gave him 2,000 acres in 1775. You want to know where that acreage site is? You're sitting on it. Now, did the bloodline of the Beast of LBL come here? He brought with him over 15 male cousins that came from France. There were other killings in France, even though they had killed a huge wolf. I have been told that I have identified a family of werewolves that came here in 1775 and lived on this peninsula. I won't give names, but I have the family members right now. Some have run hotels in the area. I better cut that off and not speak of any further. Pretty interesting stuff. You've got to use genealogy. You got to listen to everyone in here who's teachers, because I learned from you, and I hope that I can distill a little bit of what little that I know. Thanks for letting me come here tonight. I've run across some of you in the woods in the last 2 or 3 days because we're really heavy. I must shamelessly plug for a man by the name of Greg Ogles. Greg Ogles and Adam Davies have come in here. We led the crew to an area where a preacher in 2016 asked for my help. He got my name through one of the sheriffs of the local counties. I came in here to try to stop cars being vandalized by Bigfoot. The Bigfoot did not want these people in their area, and I have been communicating and been having close contact with the clan of Bigfoot in that direction towards Bethlehem. We led a camera crew in here in March of this year, and Greg Ogles has shot a movie that will debut January 5th, and it will be one of the first Bigfoot movies that has been in AMC theaters in a long time. So it's going to be a good movie, and it may rival, it may get close to the Patterson-Gimlin film. We led the folks in. I'll tell you that the cameraman got so frightened that he dropped his camera and ran. Last thing I'll say, Adam Davies made a speech and said, it took 2 hillbillies from Kentucky to lead me in here to have my very first face-to-face Bigfoot sightings. I love each and every one of you. Thanks for allowing me to talk. I hope I didn't talk too long. I love every one of you, and God bless you all.
Thank you, Martin.
You're most welcome, Mr. Charlie, sir.
Great information. You know, that was a treat.
Thank you, sir.
Can we ask a question?
You have a question?
Yes.
Well, could you briefly tell these people your encounter?
In 1993,
I can, Charlie, but I don't know about your time.
dinner's, hey, Joe, does he have 5 more minutes? You okay? 5 more? Yeah, we got 5
I'll
more
keep
minutes.
it a short one. In the year of 1993, and Joe Blue may know, and definitely everybody needs to be real cool with this guy. He's from my hometown. I led another police officer for the Robertson County Sheriff's Office. I've worked there for a total of, I think it was 32 years. We came into this park to go turkey hunting, and I had no clue. And I will tell you right now that what happened to us that night is my own fault. I had no clue of the camp I had chosen. I chose a camp that is sitting on a temple mound with many tombs, graves that was destroyed by our government in the 1960s. Whatever lurks there attacked us because we chose that campsite. I'll be straight with you, I was trespassing. We came into this area, had no clue. We went to go turkey hunting. I was marked by a Bigfoot. On the first night I was here, I woke up with a raccoon standing over me like Spock from Star Trek. And he was touching my face and head, and my partner laid still. He actually could not move. He was frozen by whatever object had frozen him, whatever beast had a power, these abilities. He could not move, he could not speak. Now folks, that's the first time I've told that openly. That's what happened to him right there. He was frozen in our tent and could not move. I have identified 4, possibly 5 hunters that the same thing has happened to them. Briefly, the next night we were attacked. A fireman from the state of Kentucky was killed only a mile from my camp. I met him, I spoke to him that day while we were out turkey hunting. He was torn, ripped to shreds out of his tent. He had given me a warning the day that I met him to please watch my camp and to be careful because something was walking outside the fire glow of his campfire and was lurking and circling him. I had no idea that when I spoke to that man that day, that would be his last, I think the last person that spoke to him. We were attacked, and by the grace of God, and I believe truly with all my heart, it was my religious faith in God and the prayers that I chose that kept the Dogmen. And there's another factor. We had Dogmen and Bigfoot. There's a huge debate going as to were the 2 Bigfoot there to protect me, or did they command the werewolves or Dogmen that attacked our camp? The debate is out on that. I will tell you that the Bigfoot that I'm identifying and speaking with in the area of Bethlehem are protectors of the land. The land has been taken, stolen, and molested by all of us, not you guys, but in history in general. The Bigfoot are upset here, and there is issues here. We were lucky to make it out alive, and one day, if you want to sit down with me, I'll give you great details as to what happened, but it was a terrific, horrific experience in which I still to this day suffer with nightmares. My wife will tell you that I wake up with some of the worst holy night terrors you can ever experience. I'm learning to deal with it even after 30 years. I've spoken with so many people that have had the same type of occurrence, but I've identified 38 people that did not identify quick enough because they're dead. 38 people have tragically lost their life on this peninsula, and all their death certificates are signed unknown predator attack, unknown animal. that's a quick one, and again, I love you guys, and I hope that answered a short one, but please keep it. Go ahead, sir.
Sorry, what's your thoughts on the popular opinion that Dogman in the north part, Bigfoot in the southern part of the peninsula? Is that?
Okay, I'm going to answer that one, and because you've been such a good friend, and I love seeing you, man. Every time we bump across each other. How many have heard that? South, north, east, west, and all this stuff? It's a myth.
Yep.
It is a solid myth. I got Bigfoot right now on one end that has been seen in Kentucky. He has seen them up in this area. We got Dogmen in Boswell. They're not supposed to ever cross this mystical Kentucky-Tennessee state line of north and south. Virtually anywhere you go in here, you can see a Bigfoot or Dogman, if you're allowed to see one. Last thing, batteries not included. I love all you real true researchers. If you really, really, truly want to have, and be careful what you seek, but if you want to have contact with one of these beasts, you're going to leave your batteries behind. Batteries not included. I divest myself. I'm always armed until I go into the woods searching and having contact. I'm always armed for humans. But when I go out into the woods, I take everything off that is offensive to Bigfoot. Sounds crazy, maybe I am, but I'm having contact. If you want contact, that's up to you. Be careful what you wish for. They will destroy parts of your brain when they communicate you. I identify with a handful of researchers that are dead now because they were having contact with Bigfoot, and as a result, the brain tumors, the hemorrhaging, and different aspects of medical. They will harm your body by accident. We are not equipped to have this type of contact. I still do it. So yes, there is no boundary, there is no territory, and I put Bigfoot and Dogmen working hand in hand. Right here, a Fort Campbell doctor and his wife just had contact less than a year ago. Here, watching Bigfoot and Dogman working in tandem. Bigfoot catching fish, feeding Dogman up on the shore. Very good, competent witness. Thanks, guys. Much love.